Hello students, let's look about some problems in this session. First one is, the electron in a hydrogen atom makes a transition N1 to N2 where N1 and N2 are the principal quantum numbers of the two states. Assume the Bohr model to be valid. The time period of the electron in the initial state is 8 times that in the final state. The time period of electron in the initial state is 8 times that in the final state. What are the possible values of N1 and N2? So we have been given a clue which is nothing but the time period of the electron in the initial state is 8 times that in the final state. So keeping that in the view, let's start solving. So in the theoretical part, we have already seen about the expressions for velocity and as well as the radius we have already derived, right? So let's take that particular two concepts to a little higher level. Of course, this particular concept is useful while solving the problems, so that's why I am discussing here itself. Okay, and this is nothing new, you already know this, just a little application of this. So what is the expression for velocity? V equal to 2 pi k z e square by nh, and while for the radius it is n square h square by 4 pi square m k z e square. Expression for the time period is, because it has been given that assume the Bohr model to be valid. So in the case of a Bohr model, what is the orbit? It's a circular. Hence time period can be given as t equal to 2 pi r by v, isn't it or not? So 2 pi into, what is the expression for r? N square h square by 4 pi square m k z e square, and into 1 by v. 1 by v, no, so nh by 2 pi k z e square. Look here, it is by v, so that's why I am writing 1 by v here. So nh by 2 pi k z e square. Simplify this, what I can get? Time period t equal to n cube h cube whole divided by 4 pi square mk square z square e power 4. Look here carefully. Okay, now these, in this entire expression, which means for the time period, h is a constant, Planck's constant, m mass of the electron, k 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, z atomic number, e charge of the electron, 4 pi constant. So all these are constants, right? Now can I write this entire expression to be like t proportional to n cube? Can I write down like this? Isn't it or not? Hence for two different states it will be t1 by t2 equal to n1 by n2 whole cube. Okay, keep this aside. Now have we been given regarding the time periods? Yes, we have a relation. The time period of the electron in the initial state is 8 times that in the final state. So t1 is equal to 8 t2. That's it, right? Hence go for the substitution, t1 by t2 equal to 1 by 8. That's it, right? Now from that n1 by n2 whole cube equal to, what I can get from this? 8, and n1 is nothing but 2n2. Are you getting the point here? t1 equal to 8 t2. So we got that right. t1 by t2 equal to 8 is to 1. So n1 by n2 whole cube is equal to 8 is to 1 whole cube. Of course 1 anyway. So n1 by n2 whole cube equal to 8, which implies n1 equal to, I can write it as 2 cube now, so 2n2. This is a very interesting or the required result, which is nothing but understand this relation carefully. So keeping on that particular n2 value, we can get n1 here. What are the possible values of n1 and n2 which we have to calculate? So for if n2 equal to 1, if n2 equal to 1, right, then what it will be n1? Look here, n1 is 2 times of that. So 2 into 1, 2. So the possible values are 2 comma 1. So for n2 equal to 2, n1 will be 2 2's 4. So 4 comma 2. For n2 equal to 3, n1 is 6. So 6 comma 3, and so on. So the possible values of n1 and n2 are this many. Are we clear with this? It's continuous. So the relation was n1 equal to 2n2, or if you want the ratio, n1 by n2 equal to 2 is to 1. Are we clear with this? Okay. Let's look at the second one. A small particle of mass m moves in such a way that the potential energy U equal to ar square, where a is a constant and r is the distance of the particle from the origin. Assuming Bohr's model of the quantization of angular momentum and circular orbits, find the radius of nth allowed orbit. So a small particle of mass m moves in such a way that potential energy relation has been given for us. U equal to ar square, where of course a is a constant and r is the distance of the particle from the origin. So circular orbit we have to consider, and we have to find out the radius of that nth load orbit. Anyway, potential field rate we have to consider here. Charges, right? Electrostatic field will be obviously. Okay. Hence, for that conservative field, can we apply this relation F equal to minus du by dr? In work power energy in your 11th standard and earlier in your 12th standard first chapter also we have seen many problems of this kind. F equal to minus du by dr. Conservative field, right? Hence, minus d by dr of u is ar square, which is already given for us. So, substituting minus d by dr of ar square, a into minus 2r, of course this minus sign it will be, and dr by dr anyway 1, so minus 2ar. Let us say suppose r is the radius of that nth orbit, whatever we are actually calculating. So here we got already that force, right? Minus 2ar, of course this negative sign indicates that this force and the centripetal force which balances this, which means this force will balance the centripetal, since because the particle of mass a moves in such a way that potential energy is given variation. So the particle is in motion, obviously the centripetal force should exist. It should counterbalance, right? So these two will balance each other, which is nothing but this negative sign indicates quite equal and opposite there. So 2ar equal to mv square by r. And now from the quantization condition, we know that mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, which is nothing but integral multiples of h by 2 pi. The angular momentum of the electron revolving in the circular orbit is nothing but mvr, and that will be equal to integral multiples of h by 2 pi. So from that we can write down v equal to nh by 2 pi mr. Isn't it or not? Now substitute that result here. 2ar equal to m by r into, in the place of v square I am going to substitute this. So n square h square by 4 pi square m square r square. Isn't it or not? So r power 4 I get here r square. So here is r cube, and if it goes this side r power 4, and get this 2a to this side. So it is n square h square by 4 pi square m into 2a. Now I need r because we need to find out the radius of nth load orbit, right? So r equal to n square h square by 8 am pi square whole to the power of 1 by 4. Are we clear with this? Right. Now let's look about the third one. Consider a hydrogen like atom whose energy in nth excited state is given by En equal to minus 13.6 z square by n square. Hydrogen like atom. Remember, it's nothing new. In the derivation part, when we are actually dealing with velocity, energy, radius and all, for hydrogen atom we substituted z equal to 1. That's it, right? If not so, we don't substitute. That's it. For hydrogen like refers to without substituting z equal to 1. So this is the result we got. En equal to minus 13.6 z square by n square. When this excited atom makes transition from excited state to ground state. Excited state to ground state. What do you mean by the ground state? First level, n equal to 1. Remember, in the theoretical part also I told you. Okay, don't confuse. And most energetic photons having energy Emax, which is nothing but 52.224 electron volt, and least energetic photons having the energy E minimum 1.224 electron volt. So these two have been given for us for the transitions. Find the atomic number of atom and the state of excitation. So from where it has been. It's obvious that maximum energy will be liberated whenever the transition takes from nth level, which is nothing but the highest to the ground. So En to the first. And minimum will be from En to En minus 1. That's it, right? Do you remember the many energy levels what we have drawn in while discussing the theoretical part, and we have drawn already the energy level diagram. So ground level. So all the remaining excited energy states are very close to each other. Do you remember? N equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are all very closely spaced. So the maximum difference, which is nothing but the energy, will be between these two. That's it, right? The highest more. Let's say suppose if this is nth level, this one, and while this is the ground level, the maximum difference will exist only between these two energy levels. The nth one and the first one. While the minimum will be between n and n minus 1. This will be n minus 1. That's it, right? Are you getting the point here? So the maximum energy whatever will be between the nth level and as well as this first level, while the minimum will be between n and n minus 1. So that's what I mentioned. These are the transitions. And now keeping that in mind, can I write that for that maximum transition E1 by n square for z equal to 1 I am considering. So that's it, right? E by n square. E1 ground state energy, right? So E1 by n square minus E1. This is for the nth state and for the ground state. Difference of this is nothing but maximum, which is given 52.224 electron volt. Understand this concept very clearly. Are you getting the point here? En to 1. So this difference of energy is nothing but maximum photon energy of the photon, which is given as 52.224 electron volt. That's given for us. So how we can represent this 52.224 electron volt energy? Difference of the energy levels between nth orbit and as well as the ground energy level. Nth orbit is E1 by n square and E1. And what do you mean by this E1? Ground state energy, isn't it or not? So that's what I am going to. Right. Now for the second, which is nothing but for the minimum. The minimum is between, transition is from n to n minus 1. So E1 by n square minus E1 by n minus 1 whole square. That's it, right? The transition is. So this difference is nothing but again 1.224 electron volt. Keep this aside. So I am making those two equations as 1 and 2. Now solve these two equations. Solve these two equations 1 and 2. What we can get? E1 will be nothing but minus 54.4 electron volt, and upon substitution of this energy in any of the equation, we can get n equal to 5. Given that the nth excited energy is given by minus 13.6 z square by n square. Look here, it's already given for us. Have you noticed? So now let's go for that substitution. So E1 equal to minus 13.6 z square by 1 square, and that is nothing but this energy. For this condition, the lowest energy is minus 54.4 ground energy, which is nothing but. That's it, right? So now if I substitute that, I can get Z to be as 2. And what is the atomic number Z? That is for the helium, and the excited state is n equal to 5, right? And that was the fifth energy state. Are we clear with this? Right. Now let's look about the next one. A hydrogen like atom of atomic number Z is in a higher excited state of quantum number n. This excited atom can make a transition to the first excited state by successively emitting 2 photons of energies 10.2 electron volt and 17 electron volt respectively. Alternatively, the atom from the same excited state can make a transition to the second excited state by successively emitting 2 photons of energies 4.25 electron volt and 5.95 electron volt respectively. Determine the values of quantum number n and atomic number Z, and given ionization energy of hydrogen atom is 13.6 electron volt. Seems to be a little confusing, right? Not at all, not at all. Understand the problem very carefully. Look at this, at the third sentence, photons of energies. Here you can see. So read this sentence again. This excited atom can make a transition to the first excited state by successively emitting 2 photons of energies. So 2 photons, so the combined effect. Remember, and here this transition is from nth energy to, that's it, right? Is in a higher excited state, higher of quantum number n. So higher to the first excited. So from n to 1. First excited state. Remember, first excited. N to first excited state. Excited state 1 I am speaking about. First excited, I have mentioned here clearly. Don't confuse here. Okay, right. So now can I write like this? N1 equal to 2 and N2 equal to n. Sir, first excited state. That's it, no? N2 equal to N1 equal to 2. If you have a confusion, draw the energy level diagram. Will be better for your understanding. Remember this always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ground state, first excited state, second excited state, third excited state, fourth excited state, and this is ground. Even in the energy diagram I have mentioned this clearly. So are we clear with this now? So now the transition is from highest energy, let's say suppose nth, to the first excited state here. Are we clear with this? Okay ma. Now for that n1 equal to 2 and n2 equal to n, and at the same time energy released is 10.20 electron volt and 17 electron volt, isn't it or not? So the combined of all. So now keeping that in mind, can I write down like this? Combination of the 10.2, summation is nothing but 10.2 plus 17, 27.2 electron volt, that will be equal to 13.6 z square of, sir how you got this 13.6 z square? It's nothing new. For hydrogen like atom, or for the energy of the hydrogen atom, we used to write down for the nth energy level is nothing but En equal to minus 13.6 by n square. That's it, right? Do you remember? Minus 13.6 by n square we used to write down, right? And now for hydrogen like, this value is nothing but 13.6 z square by n square, nothing new. For two different energy levels, right? So that's what I have mentioned here. So upon substitution of that values, so 27.2 for the highest is nothing but 13.6 z square of 1 by 4 minus 1 by n square. Keep this aside. Remember, this is for the first transition. Alternatively, now look at the second one. Alternatively, the atom from the same excited state, can make a transition to the second excited state by successively emitting two photons. Second excited state. So now the transition is from n to second. Now what happens? n1 equal to 3 and n2 equal to n. That's it, right? Second excited state. And the total energy released is here 4.25 plus 5.95. Summation is 10.2 electron volt. Now let's say similar kind of the equation just like how we made here. Okay, right? What it will be? 10.2 equal to 13.6 z square of 1 by 9 minus 1 by n square. I am calling it as equation 2. Now equation 1 by equation 2 we already made here, right? Equation 1. So equation 1 divided by equation 2. Upon simplification I can get n equal to 6. If we substitute this n equal to 6 in any of the equation 1 or 2, then I can get z equal to 3. So have we got the answer? We need to find out the values of n and z. So that's what, right, we got. Are we clear with this? Isn't clear ma? Right. By the way, again I am telling you, for the, as you are very well known, because of this situation we are actually handling the problems like this even, and trying and we are giving the assignments too. So solve the assignments and as well as solve these problems also on paper. Remember, on paper you have to, if you don't have a better practice on paper, it will be very difficult for you, on paper you have to practice. Again I am repeating. So hope you follow that, students. Be clear in that, because the paper pattern will be very lengthy for physics. You have to cope up with the time constraint too. So not always it will be like a objective type of the questions, like solving or randomly you can choosing the answers. So it's not at all a possible task. So you have to cope up with the time too. Hence practice them on the paper. All the derivations, all the equations, all the problems you have to prepare on paper. Do that without fail. Okay, let's look at the problem. A doubly ionized lithium atom is hydrogen like with atomic number Z equal to 3. Find the wavelength of the radiation required to excite the electron in lithium 2 plus from the first to the third Bohr orbit, given the ionization energy of hydrogen atom is 13.6 electron volt. Look here. Do we know this expression or not? Energy En equal to minus 13.6 z square by n square. Now for the lithium, Z is 3, hydrogen, helium, lithium. So Z equal to 3. And for n equal to 1 for the first, E1 can be given as substitution of this. I can get minus 122.4 electron volt. And for n equal to 3, that's it, right? To required to excite the electron from the first to the third Bohr orbit. So for n equal to 3, E3 equal to minus 13.6, substitution of the value, electron volt. Now difference of these two, because we have to excite the electron from first to third, right? So from first, for the energy required to transfer the electron from E1 to E3, which is nothing but difference of these two energy levels, I can get 108.8 electron volt. This is the energy. Remember, we have to find the wavelength of the radiation required to excite this. So we got the energy, right, and according to the Bohr's frequency condition, E2 minus E1 equal to h nu. Whenever an electron jumps from high energy state to low energy state, it emits a photon of energy E equal to h nu, where nu is the frequency of the radiation. Or whenever the electron jumps from low energy orbit to high energy orbit, it absorbs a radiation of energy E equal to h nu, where nu is frequency of the radiation, which we have studied in the theoretical part. So now, keeping that in mind, can I write down that h nu equal to 108.8 electron volt? That's it, right? Difference of that energy. And do we know this relation? Do we know this or not? Lambda equal to hc by, of course, from the de Broglie condition. That's it, right? Lambda equal to hc of, or E equal to h nu, and again nu is nothing but c by lambda. That's what I'm doing here. Lambda equal to hc by 108.8 electron volt. Are we clear with this? Simplification. Remember, here in the problems, I'm giving you straight away the answers. I'm solving and I'm mentioning the answers. It doesn't mean that you have to solve like as it is. You have to solve the simplification process also, because the values hc and like all the previous, I told you already, whenever we have got that, you remember those values and you have to substitute and you have to simplify them. Remember, all these carry step marks for whenever the problems have been given for you. Are we clear with this? Solve them. Even though when I'm solving, I'm already writing all this on this while making this, but it's time consuming and for me to make that class, and as well as it is very difficult to represent all the steps one by one, right? It looks very lengthy for you and complex too for you to understand. So for the simplification, only the simplification process alone, I am leaving it for you. So solve them, you will understand that. Okay, right. Now let's look at the next one. A hydrogen atom in a state of binding energy 0.85 electron volt makes a transition to a state of excitation energy of 10.2 electron volt. Then first one, what is the initial state of hydrogen atom? Second one, what is the final state of hydrogen atom? Third one, what is the wavelength of the photon emitted? First of all, let us understand what do you mean by this binding energy. Anyway, in the next chapter we have, the chapter nuclei, we have binding energy refers to. Until then, imagine that binding energy is nothing but the ground state, initial condition, which is nothing but. Okay, right. If you want, I can tell you the definition here itself. Binding energy is nothing but the energy required to bind or to make it to in a ground state, or the energy at the same time to excite. Later anyway you will understand the nuclei in a much detailed manner, considering the mass energy equivalence, mass defect and all. So it's better for this particular chapter and this particular topic enough. You keep in mind that by this binding energy refers to bound to that, which is nothing but ground. So N1 is the initial state, let's say suppose. Then can I write down that E1 equal to minus 13.6 by N1 square? Hydrogen atom, right? So Z becomes 1. So minus 13.6 by N1 square electron volt, and that is given as 0.85. So minus 0.85 electron volt. Now from this N1 is 4. Simplification of this. Right. Now that was the first one. What is the initial state means N1. Now what is the final state of hydrogen atom? Let N2 is the excited state maximum, which is nothing but the final state. How I can get that? Delta E equal to, look here, 13.6 of 1 minus 1 by N2 square. Change in that energy of, can I write down? Same here, minus 13.6 by N square, no. So instead of that, from excited difference of the energy I am actually calculating. So 13.6 of 1 minus 1 by N2 square. So that was 10.2, which is given, right, excitation energy, which makes a transition to a state of excitation energy. So that's why 10.2 equal to 13.6 of 1 minus 1 by N2 square. Upon simplification I can get N2 equal to 2. Therefore what we can say from this, the electron jumps from N1 equal to 4 to N2 equal to 2. Clear? Now we need to find out what is the wavelength of the photon emitted. We already have the formula, right? Rydberg formula. So from that I can get the lambda equal to 4860 angstrom. Substituting the values will gives you R value. Anyway, it's a well known value for you, so substitute that, you can get that. By the way, what is the value of R? It is 1.09 into 10 power 7 meter inverse Rydberg constant, right? Let's see the next one. The wavelength of light from the spectral emission line of sodium is 589 nanometer. Find the kinetic energy at which first one, an electron, and second one, a neutron, would have the same de Broglie wavelength. So we have to find out the kinetic energy at which both are having the same de Broglie wavelength. So kinetic energy we have to. Okay, first of all let us find out the wave voltage so that we can get this, because spectral emission of given, right? I'll tell you why I'm calculating this. You can see here clearly, lambda equal to 12.27 by root V angstrom. Do you remember this? Lambda equal to h by p. P is nothing but square root of 2m ke, and ke can be written as ev. Do you remember, right? So V is voltage. So upon substitution of all those values, I can get 12.27 by root V. This entire which is nothing but h by square root of 2m e. All that values gives me 12.27 divided by root V angstroms. Now from there I can get voltage to be as 12.27, of course 150 by lambda e square, electron of this, E refers to. So 150 by 5890, which is given, right, already. Emission of the line of the sodium is 589 nanometer. So 5890 whole square. Remember, this is angstrom, so I have converted that. So 5890, that's what they cancelled. 4.32 into microvolt. So that's why angstrom will continue. Keep remember that. So 589 nanometer, 10 power minus 9. Are you getting the point here? Okay. And microvolt, 4.32 microvolt. Remember that the kinetic energy, how we can give this for this entire value, which is nothing but EV. That's it now. So EV, which is nothing but this value, 4.32 microvolt. That is the kinetic energy. Can I write down like this? Okay. And second one, neutron. And by the way, do neutron possess de Broglie wavelength? Yes. De Broglie waves or de Broglie wavelength doesn't depend upon charge. The only thing is it should possess mass and it should be in motion. So neutron will possess mass and as well as it will be in motion. So lambda equal to h by p. So h by square root of 2mn into ke. This is what I am speaking about. Okay. So ke equal to, from there, h square by 2mn lambda square. Upon substitution of the values, I can get the value to be 3.78 into 10 power minus 28 joule. Are we clear with this? Right. Now let's look about the next one. How many times does the electron go around the first Bohr orbit of hydrogen atom in 1 second? So we have to speak about, what do you mean by that? How many times the electron go around in 1 second? How many times per second? Number of times or number of rotations per second is nothing but frequency. Do you remember, right? So anyway, in the first problem we have solved the time period condition. Okay. So from there I got the expression for time period and now substituted the value of k, and from then I got the final expression for the time period. Look there carefully, and now frequency can be written as 1 by time period, isn't it or not? Hence you can notice clearly there, frequency f equal to mz square e power 4 whole divided by n cube h cube 4 epsilon naught square. Okay. 1 by time period, right? Okay. Substitute the values, because how many times does the electron go around the first Bohr orbit? So first Bohr orbit, n equal to 1 for this hydrogen and the electron. So all the values are very well known for us. Mass of the electron, charge of the electron, Planck's constant, z value we know, n value which is already given. Upon substitution I can get 6.6 into 10 power 15 hertz. That's the frequency. Okay, right. Let's look at the next one. What is the angular momentum of an electron in Bohr's hydrogen atom whose energy is minus 3.4 electron volt? So energy, angular momentum we have to find out. Energy has been given, very easy one. Energy is minus 13.6 by n square electron volt. So energy is already given minus 3.4, and from there I can get n to be as 2. Angular momentum is mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, Bohr's condition, which is nothing but. From there, if I substitute n equal to 2, I can get L equal to h by pi. That's your final answer. Let's see the next one. The average lifetime of an excited state of hydrogen is of the order 10 power minus 8 second. Estimate how many orbits an electron makes when it is in the state n equal to 2 and before it suffers a transition to state n equal to 1. Bohr radius is 5.3 into 10 power minus 11. What do you mean by that Bohr radius? Do you remember? R naught value. So that's what first orbit radius, and that's what Bohr radius is called. So here we have to find out how many orbits an electron makes when it is in the state n equal to 2 and before it suffers a transition to state n equal to 1. So before it goes to that, how many times it will be. So apply the condition here, quantization. So mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. So from there I can get v equal to nh by 2 pi mr. And as it is in a circular path, I can write down the time period t equal to 2 pi r by v, isn't it or not? Here it is. So now from there 2 pi r into, in the place of v, I am going to write down this reciprocal. So 2 pi mr by nh. So time period is 4 pi square mr square by nh. Okay, clearly you can notice more the mass, more the time period. So now r equal to n square h square by 4 pi square mk z square. Do you remember this value? Expression for the nth Bohr orbit, radius of the. That's it, right? We have calculated already. And now forget about this n square for a while. Look at all the remaining terms. H, 4 pi square, m, k, z, e square, all these are constants. And that's what, right, we have calculated. Or simply to say, substitute n equal to 1. That's what we call radius of Bohr's orbit. And that's what we are calling it as r naught. So r equal to r naught n square. Can I write down? Clearly you can notice there that r proportional to n square. Did you? R proportional to n square. Now substitute this result in the equation 1 or in the time period. So t equal to 4 pi square m in the place of r square. R naught square n power 4 whole divided by nh. N cancels out. So time period we have left over with 4 pi square m r naught square n cube by h. Now let's go for the substitution of the values. Number of orbits completed in 10 power minus 8 second. That's it, right? We have to calculate. The average lifetime of an excited state of hydrogen is of order 10 power minus 8 second. So it is in that higher state. So before it suffers to a transition back to n equal to 1, we have to calculate how many orbits it has to make. So number of terms. So 10 power minus 8 by time period. So 10 power minus 8 into h by, just now we have calculated right here, t equal to 4 pi square m r naught square n cube by h. So by t, so reciprocal of that, substitute all the values. I have substituted here. So the final answer is 8 into 10 power 6. Are we clear with this? Again I am telling you, solve this. Suppose, let's look at the next one. Suppose the potential energy between electron and proton at separation r is given by U equal to k log r, where k is a constant. For such a hypothetical hydrogen atom, calculate the radius of nth Bohr's orbit and its energy levels. A very interesting problem. Just like, of course, we have solved already this kind. The earlier also we have solved. Potential energy has been given for us. Look here. Potential energy between electron and proton at a separation r. Okay. For such a hypothetical hydrogen atom, we have to calculate. So conservative force. Hence, can we apply this relation between force? That's it, right? Potential gradient is nothing but this force. So F equal to minus du by dr. Energy gradient. So minus du by dr. So minus d by dr of U, which is already given, potential energy grade. So k log r. Okay. What do you mean by this? K, which is already a constant given. Yes, where k is a constant. Log x derivative 1 by x. So 1 by r. Anyway, dr by r dr 1. So minus k by r. Keep this aside. This force will provide us the centripetal force, because the electron, it is moving in a circular path, right? Keeping the hypothetical hydrogen atom, we have to Bohr's orbit. So obviously it will be in a circular. So mv square by r equal to k by r cancels out. So from there m square v square equal to mk, or mv equal to square root of mk. mv is nothing but momentum, isn't it or not? Keep this aside. Now from the quantization condition, mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. Substitute the value here. I can get radius r equal to nh by 2 pi root mk. Now from equation 1, or straight away from this, half mv square equal to k by 2. Can I write down? Can I write down? Here, look here, rr cancels out, mv square equal to k. 1 by 2, 1 by 2. What it will be? Half mv square is equal to k by 2. What do you mean by half mv square? Kinetic energy. So kinetic energy of the electron is k by 2. We got it as. Of course, remember, this k is this constant which is given for us. Okay? Right. Now we have to find out the radius of the nth Bohr's orbit and its energy levels. Radius just now we have calculated, nh by 2 pi root mk. Now we have to speak about its energy levels. Energy refers to energy in nth orbit is nothing but total energy, kinetic plus potential, because at that separation now which is already given. So kinetic energy at that point is k by 2, while potential energy is k log r. I have substituted this r value here. You can notice here, or before that I want to tell you, multiply and divide with 2 here. What it will be? K by 2 into 2 log r. So whenever we have such a kind, a into log m, it will become log a to the power of m. Sorry, log m to the power of a. A into log m if we have. So log m to the power of a. This multiple factor will become power of this. So hence, if I take out k by 2 as constant, so it will be 1 plus, I have taken k by 2 no, so you will be left over with 2 here, and this 2 will go to the power r square. So that's what it is, n square h square by 4 pi square mk. Square and root cancels out, so that's what. So I have substituted for that. Are we clear with this? Right. Now let's look at the next one. Find the quantum number n and corresponding to the excited state of helium ion if on transition to the ground state that ion emits 2 photons in succession with wavelength 1026.7 and 304 angstrom and given r value. Earlier we discussed with energy consideration, now we have to speak about in terms of the wavelength. That's it. Other than that, no difference. Do you remember in the earlier problem we have taken the two photons which are having the energies. So similar kind, but here in terms of wavelength we have to. So for two different wavelengths, 1 by lambda 1 plus 1 by lambda, Rydberg formula we are already having, right? So rz square of 1 minus 1 by n square. So get n from that. Upon simplification I can get 6.03. Anyway, this is very small, nearer to 6, and anyway we don't have a quantum number in terms of fraction, so we have to consider this part alone. Okay, so n equal to 6, and that's your final answer. Are we clear with this? Students, again and again I'm telling you, solve the problems on your own. Not only this are sufficient, refer your NCERT, solve them, and also the other parallel books whatever you are having. Try to solve more number of problems on this kind of, because modern physics is the topic where you can score more either in JEE Main or as well as in the NEET too. So very important topic, modern physics altogether, all this dual nature of matter, dual nature of radiation and matter to semiconductors. Until that we call it as modern physics. So concentrate more on modern physics, you can have more number of questions. Okay, thank you.